Welcome back, everyone. We're here into Game 2 right now on MLG Shakur's Plateau between Socke and DeMusliM. Socke actually taking a little bit of a breather after that first match. Said his hands were a little bit cold, but he just won the first game, so I think he's getting a little bit nervous. Now, do you remember who I said Socke would play if he moves on? Trying to remember exactly who that would be. We'll look it up here in the match in just a couple of seconds. But Rob, in the meantime here, let's jump into this game. Why don't you introduce our Terran player?
Over here, the Terran player on the right side of the map, repping Evil Geniuses. He's got to win this if he's going to stay in this tournament. DeMusliM. And his opponent over here is the Blue Protoss, representing alternate attacks, Socke.
Now, the winner of this goes on to play Crazy Moving
That's
from
right.
Infinity 7. Probably the one player that's made the biggest name for himself at this event. He played on the main stage the other day, and I think he actually beat someone. Who did he beat there on the main stage? It was a 2-0. Oh, I can't.
Sase.
Was it Sase?
I think that was with the Nidus Canal.
That, okay, yes. You are indeed right. Yeah, that's a big, big win. ZVP not. Well, it's actually Sase's worst matchup, but I'm not trying to take anything away from Crazy
Well,
Moving.
Sase also tried some interesting things there. You don't see him go for Stargate play very often, and it just didn't really work out for him very well.
Yeah. All right, guys. So here on Shakur's Plateau, we'll see. I mean, thinking and looking back to last game, we saw the fact that both players opened up with an expansion early build. DeMusliM going for that 1-Rax CC, and Socke going for that 1-Gate side core expand. On a map like this, you know, DeMusliM has a lot more on the line because if he loses this, his tournament life is completely done.
Oh, yeah.
And Socke actually has not that much. Well, he has one more game to lose, basically, in this tournament. Because
Right, he's clearly in a more comfortable spot.
yeah, and he might do something a little bit more risky because of that. So might go for maybe a hidden 4-Gate, or maybe for something like hidden DT or something a little bit risky. But thinking about it, Socke's never really been a player to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised just where he's at in the tournament if he did. But player-wise and just knowing kind of Socke, I don't think he'll do anything like that.
Well, he doesn't really need to take a big risk. It can be those small risks. It can be the plays that are only slightly risky. Like last game, we saw him go for the Warp Prism. The Warp Prism arguably is a fairly risky play because you load up so many high gas units into that, and if you lose it, you're kind of out a good chunk. And now we see DeMusliM out here setting up for his natural expand, throwing down that CC directly after he just established his racks. Oh, yes, the very nice delay coming out of DeMusliM, microing around there. Of course, Socke is going to be able to fight that off in just a little bit. That engineering bay, oh, how annoying it generally is. But that first Stalker's almost done, so he'll be able to fight that off, of course. Likely not going to get the kill on it, because DeMuslim's going cancel.
Stalker pops out. We'll clean up that SCV. So see the bunker going down here for DeMusliM. And now I'm really wondering if he's going to go for that heavy bio play like we saw last game, or really try to switch it up. In this matchup, Terran's pretty limited to what they can do. Mecha style that really hasn't been figured out. I kind of feel in this matchup you can go for some Blue Flame Hellion drops and line the probes up and things like that, but in general, mech just does not fare very well compared to the very mobile forces, especially when things like force fields and whatnot come into play. So looks like Socke is setting up for a very macro-oriented base game here.
He most certainly is, and it seems like DeMuslim's going to be doing just about the same, although DeMusliM, we see adding on 3 additional barracks. Now, I'm trying to remember which game it was, but essentially DeMusliM set up to do this, and then there had to be a replay, so his opponent knew exactly what was coming. Obviously, he had to abandon that strategy immediately, unfortunately for him, but maybe this is the time that we can see him shine. He likes to do infantry micro-heavy style play.
Yeah, and this is actually very safe what DeMusliM is doing. If he is about to be 4-gated or anything like that, he can just get a huge, huge amount of Marines out and really defend very well as we see that second bunker about to finish. That is one of the strengths of going for this very early on 4 racks, and he's going to get that Tech Lab 2 begin stim, as you can see right here. Very well thought out and very well timed out. No, he's going to be getting combat shield, opting for more survivability rather than offensive things like stim.
And opting for that, I guess, could be pretty smart, especially because he's not going to have medevacs out. And when you don't have stim,
Right.
it's hard to, when you don't have medevacs, it's hard to use stim just because every time that's permanent damage. You have no way to recover that HP. Of course, he could also just be planning to get there eventually. Maybe he just wants to have enough units to defend, possibly going for a long-term play. I'm surprised that we haven't seen an engineering bay placed down, because generally that's more indicative of a heavy infantry play or heavy barracks play in general. And Socke's robo facility is just about to finish up. He's got all 4 gases down.
And DeMuslim's going to be sent out 1 Marine, 2, of course, Scout. Over here at the natural, did you see something, Rob?
I was a little confused. No.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Got
but
you.
We see him mining. We see him warping in some more things to defend. Now, because he has so many of his sentries out there, he's going to be able to just block his ramp almost indefinitely. Oh, yes, laying down that double forge, which means he's going to be sticking with some heavy gateway units.
You might be wondering why these 2 Marines are split. It's basically because if his opponent did control this Zelnaga tower, the Stalker would only see that front group and not see his entire kind of group of Marines here. So this might catch his opponent off guard. He does have a lot of sentries, though, so he'll be able to force field this ramp and possibly split this army up if he can indeed land those money force fields. He's going for that double forge, which will mean double upgrades, and there we go. Just 2 force fields will split this army. And that is not going to be a good attack for DeMusliM. Sure, he might chew up. Oh, actually, Socke following up there, catching a handful more. So he is just really, really doing well here. DeMusliM not having that great of luck in the opening of this match.
Yeah, unfortunately, that shield timing just didn't work out for him as well as he may have hoped. Socke, with the great defense, having all of those sentries ready, cutting that army in half. And, of course, the Guardian shield plays such a crucial role in that fight.
Yeah, it really decreases the damage, obviously, of the Marines. And once you get these upgrades, it's going to get really out of control here. DeMusliM knows that he's about to be under a huge attack, throwing down 2 more bunkers. Does have that 3rd CC, but won't be lifting it for some time. Stim is only halfway complete. Here's that forward pylon. We actually see Socke going for a 3rd. He felt so confident after that last fight that he really feels like he can go for a huge, huge offensive maneuver here while also keeping his economy so much further ahead of his opponent.
Now, just a brief update on the other matches that happened. Sase actually defeated Select 2-0, so he's now advanced. They'll have to play Hey Pro in
little Swedish battle
number
there.
4. Yeah, that'll be quite the fight. Now, also worth noting about this current round, because of where the current placings are, this is the bubble round. If you don't make it through this round, you don't get money because you won't be top 16. So there's a lot on the line here. Not only have they just finished fighting all of these days, but they woke up bright and early to try and fight for their final chance at staying in this tournament and their final shot at the prize pool.
And DeMusliM actually has a pretty large force here. He might even cancel 2 of these salvage 2 of those bunkers there. He's also going for a 3rd base that's somewhat hidden. He's not going to be able to transfer SCVs here anytime soon, unless he, of course, makes a drop ship and drops down 8 over at this base. But he can, of course, use those mules. And unless this is scouted, it might be a way that DeMusliM can really get back in this game. Because now he's on equal footing with his opponent. His opponent thinks, well, he's really not that, he's really nowhere near me economically, and he's not being active whatsoever with this observer. He does have the 2 Zelnaga towers as well as some forward pylons, but that observer really needs to make it across the map here pretty soon. See him getting Psy Storm as well as the +2 armor and weapon upgrades and adding on a whole lot of gateways here in the main base.
Now, even though the Socke has established a 3rd of his own, we see that DeMusliM is keeping just about right up with him on the worker count. And because DeMusliM has that 3rd orbital command, he's going to have so many mules in play. We actually just saw 5 mules in play. He's down to 4, but he can keep that mule production up so that he will have so many minerals. And we just see now, oh, wow, a well-placed pylon means that he's going to be able to see DeMuslim's drop. And will DeMusliM continue with it, or is he's just unloading the units there? He's going to take the free kill onto that pylon, and now it seems as though the observer has found DeMuslim's 3rd.
And this is not going to be good here for DeMusliM, as he's going to most likely just lift up this orbital once he sees that the Protoss units are en route. There's only 4 sentries here and 2 stalkers, so it might be able to live and possibly get back to the main base if these SCVs start repairing it as soon as it lifts off.
Oh, Wow, he actually sees the rocks being damaged and knows that it is time to run away. So a nice play by DeMusliM, also bringing in 2 medevacs over there, although this is not a fight that he wants to engage with 2 medevacs with high energy. There's 4 Templar there, a couple feedbacks, and, I mean, he can even storm, too.
Yeah. And Socke going to let him just escape there. Not sure if he saw that. See the Ghost Academy getting the Mobius reactor out. And here is a pylon being placed for Socke. That is just so smart, limiting your opponent's choice at his economy and making him fall back even more. Right now we see 7 Templar out for Socke. I think they have a whole lot of energy too. And with this forward pylon that he kind of has all over the place, DeMusliM, did he actually see the Templar there? I'm not sure that he did, so this is going to get kind of scary here. Pure bio for DeMusliM, only 1-1, 2-2 still a ways from being finished. 3-3 already begun here for Socke, and he's already doing a tech change over to the robotics bay and robotics facility. I believe that's the second one, so he can just start to pump out a huge amount of Colossus if he does not see any Vikings in his opponent's army.
And so that's exactly what he's going to be capable of. This is going to be extremely difficult for DeMusliM to deal with. Socke has just done such a great job staying on top of his opponent for the entire game, because that's essentially what he's done. And let's actually take a look over here at the third of Socke. He has done a drop over there. Oh man, we see the feedback go down, but there's not enough energy on that medevac to finish it off, so he still could potentially lift it off. Will a stalker get there in time to finish it? He has not moved the medevac behind the rest of the units yet. A little bit of damage has definitely been done. Oh man, and because Socke's army is actually just so far out of position, this is being destroyed.
Yeah, Socke was hesitating there in the middle of the map for some reason with his army. Didn't actually warp in anything on that pylon either. So the attack gets cleaned up, and we see that a scan occurs, sees that his army is out of position, and right after that decides to, well, he was thinking about moving out, but now he is backing back up. Let's go into Socke's view for just a second. Look how much of the map that he sees. Almost every single thing that he could possibly scout.
Well, yeah, and just about every single base as well. Oh, very nice by DeMusliM, staying active with his Viking. They're picking off Socke's Warp Prism. He wants to make sure that nothing too sneaky happens later in this game. Socke, just like you were saying, he is doing fantastic, keeping his eyes everywhere on the map. As a matter of fact, not a single expansion is unseen by him, except for the one in the bottom middle, but there's no way that DeMuslim's going to be able to get there without Socke seeing it.
Right. So DeMusliM is going to try and clean up these pylons as he desperately needs a third. Both players are very quickly approaching that 200, which means the bigger the army, the repercussions of that are also larger as well, because you're just going to be in such a really poor spot if you lose that huge army. So here we go, actually, as this Colossus are out. DeMusliM, seeing that, starts building the Viking immediately. He's also got these 4 Ghosts right now. And if he can land those money EMPs onto the Templar, it's really going to be very, very good. We see a couple of Stalkers here going forward. He does have Blink, and he can easily get out of this area.
Oh, surprisingly enough, actually losing a Stalker when he went in there to scout what exactly he was going to have to fight. Now, there aren't too many sentries out here in battle. The Guardian Shield is thrown down, but he's not going to have very much energy for remaining force fields. Oh, man, and the Colossus, the carnage, the damage is just absolutely huge. And there's the tap out by DeMusliM. Socke takes it 2-0.
That was a pretty one-sided fight there. I mean, that was like watching National Geographic and just seeing a lion or something just destroy a gazelle there out in the open field. He had no say in that fight. No matter what he did, he was just going to simply lose it. I mean, with the Colossus, with the Psy Storm, with all of those charge lots, and I believe he had 3-3 as well here.
Yes.
Yeah, so he just had advantages across the board there. And there's the crowd actually giving a cheer, I believe, for Socke over on the main stage. But congratulations to the Protoss from Europe. And DeMusliM, it was a rough tournament, but I believe he actually is one of the only members of EG to get this far.
They've actually been doing pretty well overall. I'm not sure that he was the only remaining player left.
JYP might be up there. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, because we talked about him playing Astoji at the end of yesterday. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. That's going to wrap it up. We're going to be back with more StarCraft 2 in just a short break. I'm Rob Simpson.
I'm JP McDaniel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more action here on Day 3 of the MLG Winter Championships.